Hello, friends. You're watching The Night Watchman, where every day you'll hear a brand new horror story that will send chills down your spine. But to keep bringing you these terrifying tales, we need your love and support. So don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Now let's begin the story. I never thought a simple job delivering pizzas would turn my life into a nightmare. My name is Alex Thompson, and I grew up in the suburbs of Detroit, Michigan. Back in 2018, after dropping out of community college, I needed cash fast. My parents had kicked me out after one too many arguments about my lack of direction, so I packed my beat-up Ford Focus and headed north to Traverse City, a quiet lakeside town known for its cherry festivals and snowy winters. It seemed like the perfect place to start over, small enough to disappear, big enough to find work. I landed a gig at the local Domino's on East Front Street. The manager, a grizzled guy named Hank with a perpetual 5 o'clock shadow, hired me on the spot. "We need reliable drivers," he grunted, handing me a red polo shirt that smelled faintly of garlic. "Nights can get slow, but tips are decent. Just don't mess up the orders. People here get cranky if their pizza's cold." The store was your typical franchise, fluorescent lights buzzing overhead, the constant hum of ovens, and that irresistible mix of dough and cheese wafting through the air. My co-workers were a mix: Sarah, the bubbly college student on the make line; Mike, the stoner who handled the phones; and old Mrs. Evelyn, who folded boxes like it was an art form. They all seemed normal, but from day one, there was something off about the place. Hank mentioned in passing that the building used to be an old funeral home back in the 70s, converted after a fire gutted the original parlor. "Spooky, huh?" he chuckled. I laughed it off. I wasn't one for ghost stories. My first few weeks were uneventful. I'd zip around town in my car, blasting classic rock on the radio, dropping off pepperoni pies to families in cozy subdivisions, or large Hawaiians to frat boys at the local college. Traverse City in the fall was beautiful, leaves turning crimson along the bay, the air crisp with the promise of winter. But as October rolled in, the orders started getting weird. It began with a call from a number that showed up as unknown on the system. Mike took it, scribbling down the details. Large, thin crust with extra cheese, no sauce, delivered to 47 Pine Ridge Lane. "Guy sounded like he was whispering," Mike said, passing me the slip. "Said to leave it on the porch and knock 3 times. Paid with a card already." Pine Ridge Lane was on the outskirts, a winding road flanked by dense woods that led to a few isolated cabins. The sun was dipping low when I arrived, casting long shadows over the gravel driveway. The house was a rundown Victorian, paint peeling like old skin, with a single light flickering in the upstairs window. I placed the box on the weathered porch, knocked 3 times as instructed, and turned to leave. That's when I heard it, a faint scratching from inside the box, like nails on cardboard. I froze, heart pounding. Probably just the cheese settling, I told myself. But as I drove away, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was watching me from that upstairs window. The next night, another order from the same address. This time, extra anchovies on half, and a note. "Make sure it's hot. They're hungry." Hank shrugged when I mentioned the repeat. "Regulars are good for business. Just do your job." But Sarah pulled me aside during my break. "You know about the old owner?" she whispered, glancing over her shoulder. "Back in the 90s, the guy who ran this place, Dominic Rossi, he went missing. They said he was experimenting with recipes, something about secret ingredients from overseas. Cops found his car abandoned near the lake, but no body. Some folks think he snapped, started putting weird stuff in the dough." I rolled my eyes. "Urban legend, right? Like the hook-handed killer." She didn't laugh. "Just be careful out there, Alex. This town's got history." The orders from 47 Pine Ridge kept coming. Every other night, always paid up front, always the same whispered voice on the phone. Each time, the scratching from the box grew louder, more insistent. One evening, curiosity got the better of me. Before leaving the store, I peeked inside the pizza box. It looked normal: golden crust, bubbling cheese, those salty anchovies glistening. But as I closed it, I swear I saw something move under the toppings, a ripple, like a worm burrowing through soil. That delivery was the worst yet. The sky was pitch black, no moon, just my headlights cutting through the fog rolling off Lake Michigan. The house loomed larger than before, the porch light out. I set the box down, knocked 3 times, and waited a beat too long. From inside, a low moan echoed, followed by shuffling footsteps. The door creaked open just a sliver, revealing a pale hand, fingers unnaturally long, nails yellowed and cracked, reaching out to snag the box. I bolted back to my car, tires spinning on the gravel. Back at the store, I confronted Hank. "Who's at that address? It's freaking me out." He sighed, rubbing his temples. "Look, kid, it's probably just some recluse. Old man named Elias Crow. Lives alone since his family died in a car crash years ago. Orders pizza because he can't cook anymore. Harmless." But it didn't feel harmless. I started researching Elias Crow on my phone during downtime. Turns out he was a former mortician, the one who ran the funeral home before it burned. Articles from the Traverse City Record-Eagle from 1975 described a suspicious fire that killed his wife and 2 kids. Crow was the only survivor, but he was never the same. Whispers of arson for insurance money, but nothing proven. After that, he vanished from public life, holed up in that Victorian on Pine Ridge. The backstory gnawed at me. Why Domino's? Why always the same odd toppings? And that scratching? I confided in Mike one slow afternoon. "Dude, maybe it's rats in the walls or something," he said, exhaling a cloud of vape smoke out back. "Or hear me out. Maybe Crow's got pets, like exotic ones. I read about people keeping tarantulas or scorpions. It didn't add up." The next order came with a special request. Add fresh basil from the garden. We didn't have a garden, but Hank pulled a Ziploc from the fridge, wilted leaves that smelled earthy, almost metallic. "Customer provided," he muttered. I didn't ask. Driving to Pine Ridge that night, a storm brewed over the bay, thunder rumbling like distant artillery. The house was dark, save for that upstairs light. As I approached the porch, the scratching started before I even set the box down. It was frantic now, accompanied by a wet, slurping sound. My hands shook as I knocked. Once, twice, 3 times. The door swung open wide this time. No hand, just an empty hallway stretching into blackness. A voice rasped from the shadows. "Come in, delivery boy. They're waiting." I should have run, but something compelled me forward. A mix of fear and morbid curiosity. The air inside was thick, reeking of decay and overcooked meat. Floorboards creaked under my feet as I stepped into the foyer. Pizza box clutched like a shield. "Hello, Mr. Crow." A staircase loomed ahead, leading up to a faint glow. The moaning started again, louder, interspersed with whispers that sounded like my name. "Alex, Alex, hungry." I climbed, each step echoing. At the top, a door stood ajar. Pushing it open, I entered a room lit by a single bulb swinging from the ceiling. In the center sat Elias Crow, or what was left of him. He was emaciated, skin stretched taut over bones, eyes sunken like pits. But he wasn't alone. Around him on the floor were dozens of empty Domino's boxes, stained with grease and something darker. And then I saw them, writhing under his skin, bulging like tumors. His arms, his torso, rippling with movement. "The recipe," he wheezed, lips cracking into a smile. "Dominic's secret. From the old country. It binds them, feeds them." Before I could react, his chest split open with a sickening tear. Out poured things. Pale, worm-like creatures, slick with mucus, each the size of a forearm. They slithered toward me, mouths gaping with tiny razor teeth. I dropped the pizza box and it burst open on the floor. The toppings erupted, anchovies twisting into more of those worms, basil leaves unfurling like tentacles. I screamed, stumbling back. The worms from Crow lunged, latching onto my shoe. Pain shot through my leg as one burrowed in, hot and invasive. I kicked wildly, smashing it against the wall. Black ichor splattering. Down the stairs I fled, the house alive with hissing and slithering. Outside, rain pelted me as I dove into my car, peeling out without looking back. I quit Domino's that night, told Hank I was done, no explanation. He just nodded like he knew. I moved back to Detroit, got a desk job, tried to forget. But sometimes, late at night, I feel it. A itch under my skin, a hunger that pizza can't satisfy. I avoid delivery apps, stick to home-cooked meals. Yet every so often, my phone rings from an unknown number. I don't answer. Was it real? Or did the isolation of that town drive me mad? All I know is, if you ever get a craving for Domino's in Traverse City, think twice. Some ingredients aren't meant to be delivered. The scratching, it never really stops. But life went on, or so I thought. Months later, settled in a cramped apartment in Detroit's Midtown, I started noticing ads for Domino's popping up everywhere. Billboards, TV commercials, even targeted ads on my social media. Irresistible deals, they promised. Fresh from the oven. I blocked them, but the dreams began. In the dreams, I was back at 47 Pine Ridge. But this time, I was Crow. My body bloated, skin translucent. Those worms coiling inside me like lovers. They'd whisper secrets, how Dominic Rossi discovered the ingredient during a trip to Italy in the 80s, an ancient parasite from catacombs beneath Rome, preserved in olive oil jars. He smuggled it back, mixed it into dough as an experiment. Eternal freshness, he called it. But it hungered for more than flour and water. The parasites bonded with hosts, feeding on flesh from within, extending life in twisted ways. Crow's family was the first victims, infested during a special family pizza night. The fire, his desperate attempt to burn them out. But some survived, burrowing into him, waiting for new vessels. In the dream, I'd wake up chewing, on my own arm, blood mixing with saliva. I'd jolt awake, checking my skin for entry points. Nothing. Yet. One evening, craving something easy, I caved and ordered from a local Domino's. Different franchise, different town. Harmless, right? The driver was a kid like I used to be, handing over a steaming box with a grin. Enjoy! I lifted the lid. Normal pizza, but as I bit in, a faint crunch. Not crust, something else. I spat it out. A tiny wriggling segment, pale and alive. Panic surged. I flushed it down the toilet, but the itching returned, stronger. Under my calf, a lump formed overnight, soft at first, then pulsing. I ignored it, popping painkillers, telling myself it was a bug bite. Weeks passed. The lump grew, migrating up my leg. Doctors called it a cyst, scheduled surgery. But the night before, it split. Pain like fire, and out it came. Not one worm, but a cluster, slithering across the bedsheets. They turned toward me, heads questing like blind snakes. I grabbed a kitchen knife, hacking at them, blood everywhere. But for everyone I killed, 2 more emerged from my skin, arms, torso, even my scalp. The phone rang, unknown caller. I answered, sobbing. "They're hungry," the voice whispered, Hank's voice. "Welcome to the family, Alex." I dropped the phone, worms coiling around my fingers. In the mirror, my reflection smiled, eyes glazing over. That was last night. I'm typing this from a motel outside Ann Arbor, skin crawling, fighting the urge to order another pie. If you read this, stay away from Domino's. It's not just pizza, it's a delivery system. For what? I don't know. But they're inside now. Waiting, scratching. Story 2, I was starving that rainy Tuesday night in Seattle. It was one of those endless Pacific Northwest downpours, the kind that turns the streets of Capitol Hill into slick black mirrors reflecting neon signs from dive bars and coffee shops. My name's Alex Rivera, 28, a freelance graphic designer scraping by in a cramped one-bedroom on Pine Street. I just wrapped a brutal deadline. My fridge was empty except for a half carton of almond milk, and it was pushing 11 p.m. Domino's was my go-to, fast, cheap, and they delivered right to my door in under 30 minutes, rain or shine. I pulled up the app on my phone, the one with the red-hot pizza icon that always made my mouth water. Medium pepperoni with extra cheese, side of garlic knots, and a 2-liter of Mountain Dew. Total, $24.67. I hit order, watched the little tracker animate. Order accepted, preparing your food. Perfect. I crashed on my thrift store couch, scrolling Reddit while the rain hammered the window like impatient fingers. 28 minutes later, the doorbell buzzed. Weird. Domino's usually texts first. I shuffled to the door in socks, cash in hand for a tip. Peered through the peephole. A guy in the classic Domino's jacket, red and blue, holding a steaming pizza box. Hood up against the rain, face shadowed. Normal enough. I swung the door open. "That was fast, man. Here's 15 bucks, keep the change." He didn't say a word, just thrust the box at me, eyes hidden under the hood. His hand felt ice cold brushing mine, like he'd been standing in a freezer. I mumbled thanks and shut the door, locking it twice because Capitol Hill break-ins had been all over the news lately. Pizza smelled amazing. I tore into the box on the kitchen counter. Pepperoni, gooey cheese, spot on. Garlic knots, golden and buttery. I devoured 3 slices standing up, dew fizzing down my throat. That's when I noticed it. Under the last knot, taped to the box's underside, a small Polaroid photo. Yellowed edges like it was old. It showed a woman in a Domino's uniform, smiling awkwardly in what looked like a store kitchen. Name tag, Sarah Klein. Handwritten on the back in faded blue ink, Capitol Hill, number 472. Last shift, October 13th, 1997. Weird prank. Probably some bored driver. I chucked it in the trash and finished eating, too buzzed on carbs to care. Bed by midnight, rain lulling me to sleep. Next morning, scrolling local news over coffee. Nothing about Domino's. But that photo nagged at me. October 13th, 1997. Almost 30 years ago. Our Domino's on Broadway was there back then, right? I Googled Sarah Klein Domino's Seattle. Zilch. Tried Domino's Capitol Hill disappearance 1997. Still nothing public. Curiosity hooked me. I called the store during lunch. "Yeah, hi. I got a weird photo with my delivery last night," I told the manager, a guy named Raj. He paused. "Photo? Like what?" "Girl named Sarah Klein. Says last shift 1997. Dead silence. Then, "Dude, don't call back about that. Corporate hates this urban legend crap." Click. Urban legend? Now I was intrigued. Dug deeper that afternoon. Old Seattle Times archives, Reddit threads, obscure forums. Buried in a 1998 microfilm scan. Pizza delivery worker vanishes after shift. Sarah Klein, 22, single mom from Tacoma. Last seen clocking out at Domino's Capitol Hill after closing. Co-workers said she got a call from an angry customer about a wrong order. Left to make a solo redelivery in the rain. Never came back. No body, no leads. Store number 472 closed for remodel 6 months later. Article mentioned unsettled staff, claiming flickering lights and cold spots post-disappearance. Chills. My store was rebuilt on the same spot. Number 472 reopened in 2000. Coincidence? I shook it off. Ordered Domino's again that night. Habit, I guess. Same order. Tracker said 29 minutes. Doorbell, same drill. Hooded guy, silent handoff. Box warm, pizza perfect. But taped inside again. Another Polaroid. Sarah, same smile, but this one angled to show the kitchen clock. 11:47 p.m., October 13th, 1997. Back. He called. Wrong order. Going now. My stomach dropped. This wasn't funny. I didn't need it. Box went straight to the trash. Photos inside. Called the store. Raj again. Told you, man. Stop ordering if you're messing around. I'm not. Your driver's leaving creepy photos. Driver's fine. GPS tracked him back. Eat your pizza. Hung up. Sleepless night. Rain louder like whispers. Kept hearing faint knocks. Pipes? By dawn I was spooked but rationalized. Fake photos circulating as a prank chain. Still, I drove to the Broadway Domino's that day. Dingy storefront, fluorescent buzz. Asked Raj about Sarah. His face paled. Look, off record, it happens sometimes. Photos taped in boxes. Drivers swear they don't do it. Happens to newbies mostly. Corporate says it's copycats. But that store's cursed, man. Sarah wasn't the first. Backstory spilled out between customers. In '89, before Sarah, a driver named Mike Harlan wrecked his car on a delivery to a Pike Place high-rise. Pizza box flew open, photos of him inside, dated future. He survived the crash, quit, vanished himself. Before that, in '82, the original manager hung himself in the walk-in freezer after finding old Domino's coupons with his face on them, predating his hire. All at number 472. Raj swore drivers avoid solo night shifts now. Some say Sarah's warning you. Wrong order pulls her back. Bullshit, I thought. But that night, alone with takeout sushi, my phone pinged. Domino's app notification. Reorder your last order? I hadn't touched it. Deleted the app, blocked the store. Thursday, hungover from no sleep. Power flickered during a storm. Doorbell at 10:58 p.m. Exactly 28 minutes from my phantom reorder. Heart pounding, I checked the peephole. Empty hall. Buzz again. Nothing. Pizza box sat on my welcome mat. No driver. Warm, fresh. Smell hit like a drug. I slammed the door, called 911. Someone left food at my door unprompted. Dispatcher laughed it off. Domino's prank? Happens. Inside the box, 3 slices eaten already, grease marks like bite prints. Garlic knots gone. New Polaroids. Sarah at the counter, phone to ear. Back. Customer angry. Lives alone. Pine Street. My street. Next photo. Sarah walking out into rain. Domino's bag in hand. Timestamp, 11:47 p.m. Last one, close-up of her face, eyes wide, mouth open in a silent scream. Back. Wrong address. He's waiting. I bolted the door. Lights on all night. Rain turned to thunder. Around 2 a.m., scratching at the window. Branches? No. Clear view. Empty fire escape. Friday morning, I confronted Raj at the store. He looked wrecked, bags under eyes. You're the 3rd this month, he whispered in the alley. They keep ordering. Photos escalate. Last guy, Ethan from Belltown, ignored it. Found his car wrapped around a pole on I-5. Pizza box in the front seat, full of his own future photos. Cops ruled accident. He shoved a faded Xerox at me. Internal Domino's memo, 1998. Site number 472, anomalous incidents. Recommend relocation. Employee folklore unsubstantiated. Signed by some exec. I drove to the old address records, same lot. Beneath the store? Abandoned utility tunnels from Seattle's underground, flooded and forgotten. Sarah's red livery was to a condemned building there. Wrong address per her note. That night, no way I was home. Crashed at a buddy's in Fremont. But my phone left at my place, text from an unknown number. Your order is on the way, 28 minutes. Screenshot of the tracker, my Pine Street address. Buddy laughed it off. Slept fine. I didn't. Saturday, back to my apartment, door ajar. Pizza box on the counter, lid propped open. Flies buzzing already. Inside, moldy crusts, etched with a fingernail. Alex spelled in pepperoni grease. Photos now a stack. Sarah's progression, entering the tunnel mouth under Broadway, flashlight beam cutting fog. Then deeper, walls dripping, her face terrified. Final one, her hand thrusting a box forward toward darkness. Back. This is for you. Enjoy. I fled to a motel in Tukwila, reported it all to Seattle PD. Detective Ruiz humored me. Urban myth, kid, Domino's ghosts? We've heard it. Check your cameras. I had a ring cam. Footage from Thursday. Hooded figure drops box, looks up. Hood falls. Sarah's face. Exact from the photos. Aged not a day. She smiles, waves, vanishes into rain like smoke. Sunday night, motel room. Power out. Doorbell app pings, my apartment's cam. Live feed, another box materializing on the mat. Tracker on my phone. How? 000. Eaten slices inside. New photo, me, holding this exact first box from Tuesday. Timestamp, tonight. Back. Wrong order again? I'm coming. Knock start. Slow, deliberate. Not at the motel, at my phone speaker echoing from the app. Rain outside syncs with it. I smash the phone. Silence. Monday. Back to Capitol Hill. Dawn. Store closed. Plywood over windows. Raj's car abandoned. Door open. Inside his uniform, Polaroids of him spilling out. Top one. Your turn. I ran, but hunger hits. It's noon now. Stomach growling. Phone's dead, but the Domino's site works on the library computer. App knows me. Reorder, Alex? Special, Sarah's favorite. Tracker, preparing. 28 minutes. Doorbell will buzz soon. I can smell it already. Pepperoni, extra cheese. What do I do? Story 3. I never thought a simple job slinging pizzas would turn my life into a nightmare. My name is Alex Thompson, and I grew up in Ann Arbor, Michigan, the birthplace of Domino's Pizza itself. Back in the day when Tom Monahan started the chain right here in the 1960s, it was just a local spot called Dominick's. By the time I was 22 and fresh out of community college with a useless degree in graphic design, Domino's had become this massive empire. But in Ann Arbor, it still felt like a hometown thing. The flagship store on State Street was where I applied for a delivery gig in the fall of 2024, desperate for cash after my parents cut me off. Easy money, they said. Just drive around, drop off pies, collect tips. If only I'd known. The job started out normal enough. I'd clock in at 5 p.m., load up my beat-up Honda Civic with insulated bags smelling of cheese and pepperoni, and hit the roads. Ann Arbor's a college town, full of University of Michigan students ordering late-night feasts. I'd deliver to frat houses blasting music, dorms with giggling co-eds, and the occasional family in the suburbs. The tips were decent, especially on game days when the Wolverines were playing. My manager, a grizzled guy named Mike who'd been with Domino's since the 80s, always joked about the weirdos we'd get calls from. Just smile and get out quick, he'd say, but nothing prepared me for the order that came in on a rainy October night. It was around 10 p.m., the kind of downpour that turns the streets into rivers and makes your wipers squeak like they're screaming. The store was slowing down, and I was about to head home when the phone rang. Mike answered, scribbled something on the order pad, and handed it to me. "Last one for you, kid. 1,427 Elmwood Drive. Large pepperoni, extra cheese. Paid online. Deliver it hot." Elmwood Drive was on the outskirts, in Carytown, an older neighborhood with Victorian houses that looked like they belonged in a history book. I'd never delivered there before, but Google Maps said it was only 15 minutes away. I grabbed the pizza, tossed it in the warmer, and drove off into the storm. As I navigated the winding roads, the radio crackled with static, playing some oldie station. The houses got farther apart, the streetlights dimmer. Elmwood Drive was a dead-end street, lined with overgrown trees that clawed at the sky. Number 1,427 was at the very end, a hulking two-story house with peeling white paint and a wraparound porch shrouded in shadows. No lights on inside, just a faint glow from what looked like a basement window. I parked, pulled up my hood, and dashed to the door with the pizza box. Knocked twice. No answer. Knocked again, louder. Still nothing. I checked the order slip. Definitely 1427. Maybe they were in the back. I tried the doorbell, but it didn't ring. Sighing, I turned to leave when the door creaked open on its own. "Hello? Domino's delivery!" I called out, peering into the darkness. The foyer was empty, smelling faintly of dust and something metallic, like old pennies. A single bulb flickered overhead, casting long shadows on faded wallpaper. Against my better judgment, I stepped inside, just a foot or two, to set the pizza on a side table. That's when I heard it, a soft whisper from upstairs, like someone murmuring in their sleep. "Come in." My heart skipped. I spun around, but the door had swung shut behind me. Wind, probably. I left the pizza and bolted back to my car, rain soaking me through. No tip, but at least I was out of there. That night I dreamed of endless hallways and whispers that sounded like my name. The next shift, Mike pulled me aside. "Hey, that Elmwood order? They called back, said the pizza was perfect. Want you specifically for their next one?" I shrugged it off. Repeat customers were good for business. But when the order came in a week later, same address, same pizza, I felt a chill. This time it was a clear night, stars out, but the house looked even creepier under the moonlight. Door was ajar again. I called out, no response. Stepped in, placed the box, and as I turned, I noticed something on the wall. A framed photo of a family from maybe the 70s. A man, woman, and two kids all smiling in front of a Domino's sign. The man looked familiar, like an older version of Tom Monahan, but that couldn't be. I shook it off and left. Curiosity got the better of me after that. Between deliveries, I started digging online. Elmwood Drive had a history. Back in 1965, right after Domino's rebranded, there was a scandal. A delivery driver named Robert Hayes went missing after dropping off at 1427. The house belonged to the Whitaker family, wealthy locals who invested early in the pizza chain. Rumors said the Whitakers were obsessed with the business, hosting secret parties where they'd test new recipes on guests. Hayes was last seen entering the house. Police searched, found nothing. Case went cold. Then, in 1982, another driver, Lisa Grant, vanished the same way. Both worked for the Ann Arbor store. Coincidence? The internet forums were full of conspiracy theories, cult rituals, poison toppings, even ghosts of failed franchisees haunting the place. I laughed it off as urban legends, but a seed of doubt planted itself. The third order came on Halloween. Mike handed it over with a grin. "You're regulars again. Make it special." I drove out, nerves jangling. The house was decorated, pumpkins on the porch, fake cobwebs, but no trick-or-treaters in sight, door open as usual. This time I heard footsteps upstairs as I set the pizza down. "Hello," I called, my voice echoing. A voice replied, faint and raspy. "Up here, join us." Adrenaline surged. I should have run, but something pulled me forward. The stairs creaked under my feet, each step revealing more photos on the walls. Domino's employees from decades past, their eyes scratched out in some, smiles too wide in others. At the top, a hallway stretched into darkness. Doors lined both sides, most closed. One was cracked open, light spilling out. I pushed it gently. Inside was a dining room, table set for 4. The pizza box I'd just delivered sat in the center, steam rising. But no one was there. Chairs were pulled out, as if people had just left. On the walls, newspaper clippings. Delivery driver missing. Domino's denies involvement. Whitaker heirs reclusive after tragedy. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "Sit down. Eat." I backed away, heart pounding, and that's when I saw the basement door at the end of the hall, ajar with that same faint glow. I don't know why I went down. Morbid curiosity? The whispers grew louder, urging me on. The basement was a shrine to Domino's. Old uniforms hung on racks, vintage pizza boxes stacked high, posters of smiling families devouring slices. In the center, a makeshift altar with candles flickering around a photo of Tom Monahan himself, signed, "To the Whitakers, may the dough rise eternal." Below it, a journal lay open. I flipped through pages, entries from the 1960s detailing experiments with secret ingredients. "The perfect pie binds the soul," one read. "Hayes tasted it first. Eternal loyalty." Names followed, drivers who'd joined the family. Lisa Grant's entry, "She screamed, but the cheese muffled it." Panic set in. I turned to flee, but the door at the top of the stairs slammed shut. Footsteps echoed above, multiple sets shuffling closer. Whispers turned to chants. "Delivery. Delivery." I hid behind a stack of boxes, phone in hand, but no signal. Through the cracks, I saw shadows descending. Figures in tattered Domino's uniforms, faces pale and decayed, eyes hollow. One looked like Robert Hayes from the old photos, mouth stretched in a grin, teeth stained red like sauce. They carried trays of pizza, slices oozing something thick and dark, not cheese. Hours passed in terror. I waited until the chants faded, then pried a window open with a rusty pizza cutter from the altar. Scraped my arms, bloody, crawling out into the night. Ran to my car, drove straight to the police. They laughed, said it was a prank house, abandoned for years. The Whitakers died in a fire in the 90s, no heirs. But when I insisted, they checked. The house was empty, no signs of life. My deliveries. The orders were placed from a burner app, untraceable. Mike denied ever getting calls for Elmwood after the first one. "You okay, kid? Maybe take a break." I quit the next day, moved to Detroit, got a desk job. But the nightmares persist. Endless deliveries to that house, whispers calling me back. Last week, my doorbell rang late at night. No one there, Just a Domino's box on the porch, still warm. Inside a note. We miss you. Come home. I burned it, but the smell lingers. Cheese and something metallic. Sometimes I wonder if it's all in my head. But then I remember the journal's last entry, dated the day before my first delivery. New driver inbound. The family grows. If you ever order from Domino's in Ann Arbor and the delivery's late, maybe check the box closely. You never know what's really in the sauce. The whispers haven't stopped. They're in my walls now, chanting my name. I think tonight might be my last free one. If you're reading this, don't answer the door. Don't eat the pizza. And whatever you do, don't deliver to 1427 Elmwood Drive.